Men of Reddit, how often do you change your walk because you're walking behind a woman late at night? Almost every time. If she's walking slow I accelerate to pass her. If she's walking normally I slow down to keep a distance. I remember one time when I was walking home, it was in the middle of the day. I was listening to music on my headphones and with both hands carrying groceries. Then I noticed that the woman in front of me was constantly looking back with a nervous look. I was thinking to myself, I'm listening to music. I'm hugging 2 bags of groceries. I'm dressed okay. How can I look threatening? After a while, she turned a corner and waited for me to pass. I normally try to fart really loudly to take the edge off. Either she starts walking faster, or she doubles over in laughter. As you yell, don't worry, I'm not dangerous. It's the silent ones you need to worry about. I guess always, because I definitely tend to avoid walking behind women late at night. I tend to avoid walking behind anyone late at night. I don't want to scare anyone, lol. I wouldn't even consider myself creepy or scary. I am bigger than average though. I'm a male, 6 feet 1, 270 pounds, and I don't like having people behind me. I usually stop and start walking goofily, if that makes sense. I'm 6 tall with broad shoulders. Naturally people in parking lots get terrified. It sucks, but I'll have my keys out or phone out and unlock the car a few times and keep about 50 feet. I don't want people to be scared. It just happens. I once had a woman walking in front of me. It was in the small town I live in, 10 PM in Germany, low crime rate, and she kept turning nervously and it did kinda hurt, so I switched to the other side of the street. I am 6'2", broad shoulders. I do understand I might look intimidating to some people. Literally every single time I walk behind a woman, old guy, kid at night, sometimes I can tell that they are nervous, peeking behind shoulder, trying to walk faster and inadvertently matching my non-running pace. And I'd take out my phone and call my wife or mom or something and have a short conversation to show the person in front that I'm not John Wayne Gacy or some crap. Serial killers have families too. I cut around a block the other day BC. I was going to outpace a woman and I didn't want to be creepy or rude. I will say that it was late, had my medium-sized dog, and I'm 6 feet 4 inches roughly, so I can objectively see how I'm intimidating on first glance back. It wasn't a major inconvenience at all. My dog just learned 2 new roads. In today's climate I don't mind taking simple steps like that to help people feel more secure. Hopefully in my lifetime we will see this gap in society heal. The dog probably still helped diffuse any suspicion. Just a guy walking his dog. I find a dog is a good excuse to go for a walk anyway without looking aimless. Unless I've been walking behind some for a while, I usually don't think much about it. If I am though, I might walk a bit slower to create distance. Chances are I'm walking to my car, so I'll also press the button to unlock my car way early to signal that that's probably where I'm going. It's so interesting to see different social practices between men and women in these instances. My female friends and I, we're all taught not to unlock our cars from far away because it advertises where we are heading, but some men do it to ease our nerves. Usually, if it happens to be late at night, I'll just stop, browse something on my phone for a few minutes and then walk again. Or call someone and chat. To hear someone chatting is humanizing. Rarely since the pandemic, but normally about once a week. If I'm not more than a few steps behind them I overtake ASAP and with a wide breadth because I've got a quick pace. Otherwise I'll cross the road, wait to give them a head start or enormously slow my pace, which is frustrating but whatever. Funny story. I met my wife in this scenario. We both had a long walk back to our hotel rooms after we had initially said hello to each other at a smoke pit hangout area. She left just before I did. She made turn after turn on the same route that I took back to my room. I basically followed her all the way to her room until she stopped just before and yelled, "Stop following me." I explained to her that I was just walking to my room and that it hadn't occurred to me to slow down so she wouldn't feel threatened. She's been chained up in my basement ever since. How romantic. I always feel horrible when I need to help a woman out in a sketchy situation. Like I've had to physically carry a girl to her dorm bathroom so she could vomit. I just sat outside of the stall for like 2 minutes just asking if she was good. A friend of mine came in and helped out so I could go back to the dorm. When I walked out of the bathroom, these 2 girls got up in my face, asking who I was and where I was going and what I was doing with that girl. I was so freaked up. I tried to explain, but they seemed so suspicious. Eventually, that girl who helped came out and she explained, and we had a laugh. But still, I understand why girls need to be careful, but it does suck when you try to offer a hand and people assume the worst. Similar things when playing with little kids. I can't help it, I love kids. Yeah, I do tend to do that. If there's a woman in front of me and she's walking slowly, I might accelerate to pass her by fast or go to the other side of the street. If she's walking about the same pace as me, I just keep a nice big distance between us. I'd also often act uninterested, like it's late, I'm in a hurry, I have places to be, I'm not even looking at you. I often even start whistling to show I'm not trying to be quiet or stealthy. So yeah, I am aware of it. A drunk guy once stumbled out of a party while I was walking down a dark street. He saw me and very drunkenly have me a ton of room. He couldn't even walk straight, but he recognized that I might be scared and went out of his way for me. About a minute later, the cops tried to pick him up and it's a long story. A small white dog and I distracted them and this eventually led to me quitting smoking. Anyway, good dude. Oh come on, you gotta tell the whole story. Slowed way down. Took a detour. I'm not really imposing. I'm built like Jim Lee from Lotta, but I've had women look back and clutch their purses tighter, speed up, put their keys in their knuckles and hand inside purse on, I'm assuming a weapon, at a couple different times. After I really noticed it, I changed. Rather spend 5 extra minutes on a different path than a misunderstanding getting someone, me, hurt. My guy, if you're built like Jim Lee, you're imposing. Might be short but you're still built like a brick shithouse. I was going home after bar hours and 2 young girls were ahead of me. I understood, so I started with, I'm gay. I live here, because I could already tell they were creeped out by a strange man following them home. I'm sorry this was necessary, but I love this mental picture. It is certainly a thing. I tend to have a firm pace, but if I walk leisurely, women seem more threatened. I've slowed and sped up. I've also caught woman holding a can of mace in her bag while I passed out of the corner of my eye. I've also picked up the pace to uncomfortable because some shady guy tailed me, so there's that. I've done it a number of times. In fact, I've even crossed over to the other side of the road just so they will not feel I am following them. When did I start doing this? When I was 14, I was coming home late from Sydney, maybe 1 AM. I got off the train and there was a woman who got off too and slightly in front of me. This woman was at least an inch taller than me and much older, maybe 40. It was cold, it was dark, it looked like it was going to rain soon. So I started walking faster, but the woman started walking faster too. Annoyingly, she was going the same way as me. Come to the first turn, and she takes it same way I have to go. Annoying. She speeds up a little. I speed up a little too. I don't want to be alone walking at night, so I try to stick close to her, and the sky's starting to drip. Next street. Again she takes the turn I want. This is too annoying because I really want to go a bit faster, so I decide to go past her. I speed up. I get closer to her, and suddenly she stops dead, turns around and yells at me, "Don't touch me." I haven't stopped. I just continue the way I am going, which takes me past her, and say in your dreams, "Lady." I genuinely had no idea she was afraid. This person was bigger and older than me, and so she scared me when she yelled. I left her still standing in the street staring at me and went home, which was only about another 100 meters up the street. She may have seen me go inside. Until then I had never considered I might scare a woman merely by being behind her. From then on it was something on my mind. Bonus, which some people may not believe. It's maybe 10 or 15 years later. I am now in my late 20s, still living at home. But now I have a motorbike. Nothing big, just a Suzuki 250 with a kickstart. This was 30 years ago. No elk start on my bike. It's a beautiful sunny day. I am down at the shops, not far from home. I get on the bike, pull out the kickstart and give it a kick, and the bike starts. Suddenly I hear an ear-shattering scream from behind me. I turn around, and it's the same lady. This time she is with a child, a little girl about 10. She has her hands over the ears of the child, who is looking bored and annoyed at mum. And the lady is screaming at me because I kickstarted my little 250 bike and the noise scared her so much. I couldn't believe it. Even the little girl looked like she'd had enough of mum's crap. I didn't say anything. I just rode off. But I suspect the woman had mental problems. Anyway, these days I am very aware that women might be scared, especially at night, and I will either walk faster and get in front of them, slow down and let them get in front, or cross the road to avoid them. I'm a fairly big dude, 6 feet 2 inches 230 lb, and I used to be very oblivious to the fact that someone might be nervous if I was behind them in the dark. One day a few years back I was walking downtown to go home, just kinda sauntering with headphones in. There was a girl maybe 30 feet ahead of me and I noticed she kept looking back at me a few times, then she crossed the street and stayed still so I would pass her by. Took me a second to realize that she was uncomfortable and TBH it hurt my feelings. At first I was insulted, but then I realized I have no idea what her experiences are and something about me or the situation made her uncomfortable. Since then whenever I am in a similar situation I make sure to make my presence known, scuff my feet when I walk, or just pause to give some distance. It's a minor inconvenience but if it makes someone feel safer then it's worth it to me. Now just don't get me started about how people look at me when I play with my son at the park. Username doesn't check out then. Literally a full change of character. Take my hands out of my pocket, lift my head up straight so you can see my facial features and take my hat off or pull my hood down. I try to seem as non-threatening as possible, primarily because one of my female friends was assaulted on her way back from work. The last thing I would want is for anybody female or male to think I'm gonna hurt them. You sound like a very kind and thoughtful man. I'm not threatening looking by any means but I usually cross the road to remain on the opposite side if we are walking the same direction, especially if I am in a rush and walking quickly. As someone that's always aware what happens around me, I usually slow down, go to the side of the streets or whatever is easier less frightening. I have sometimes even stopped and looked in a window for a couple of minutes to get them time to get away, rather than come off as creepy stalker dude. But the thing is, I do the same if I see some guys hanging on a corner that could become a problem. Some people just go about their day and don't seem to notice anything around them, and then there is people like me that like to have as much control of my surroundings as I can. I always slow down when I see a woman going home in my neighborhood at night. The streets to the houses don't have lights. I'm just minding my own business and looking at the stars, but then I notice how fast they're walking, which reminds me to slow down to get more distance between us. I don't know what else I could do. To answer your question, every third day during fall, I shuffle my feet to let them know I'm nearby. Spatial awareness is important. When they see me I try to walk past them in hopes that they don't think I'm following them. As a large dude, I figure the woman ahead doesn't know if I'm gonna mind my own business or try to attack her, so I try to either make space or cross the street so I'm not behind them. I do since an unfortunate event. I was getting off the bus after a night at a bar, right behind a young woman. I kept a distance of around 5 meters, but for the most part she had to go the same route, so it might have seemed as if I was following her. It was a total coincidence though. Anyway, after around 200 meters she turned around and blasted me with pepper spray. My drunk butt didn't realize what happened till I got home. When I was 11 a woman called the police on me for walking behind her. She also kept screaming at me and it made me feel so horrible about myself. I hate being a black man, everyone treats me like a dangerous animal. It makes me so nervous to be around women because I feel like they're gonna call the police on me again and lynch me. Not just with women but with elderly people, families, or if they're blocking up the pavement. I'll always cross the road or quickly overtake them. I don't even make eye contact. 5 feet 11 inches black male. I go out of my way to not only make my presence known, but also give absolute ample space between me and anybody else. Either I slow down, keep walking while using my phone, or walk to the other sidewalk. It's not my main concern since I care about my own security above all, but it's still trouble that can be avoided. Yeah, I'll change my walk or route if I'm following a woman on an empty street. I've talked to a lot of survivors of abuse or assault who said they get nervous in those situations. They'll put their keys between their fingers or call someone until they get to their car. They know that most guys are not a threat, but there's enough of those guys out there that they can't take the chance. So yeah, I usually cross the street. I was jogging around a lake and was slowly making ground on a female jogger in front of me. I didn't want her to feel like I was following her, so I started to pick up the pace to pass her. Well, I guess this made her pick up her pace because after about 1 minute I had only made up 10 of the 40 meters. So I picked up my pace again. Bloody heck, so did she. Well, now my pacing and heart rate were all starting to go to crap, so I hit overdrive. And so did she. I passed her about 20 seconds later. Problem was it took everything out of me. I had to start walking shortly after. She passed me a minute later, smiled and said I win when she jogged by. She was just competitive, not nervous as I thought. As a woman, I want to say thank you for offering to walk us to our cars, and I'm sorry we make you feel uncomfortable when we are on the lookout. Our guard is always up. Always. We do little things all the time to help keep us safe that men probably don't even think about that are just second nature to us. I'm 5'2" and barely 110 pounds soaking wet. I like to think I'm scrappy and strong, but I know the chances of me successfully fighting off an attack aren't great. Thank you, and I'm sorry. I'm a tall guy. I've had women cross the street at night because I was wearing a scarf over my face and I guess I seemed imposing. After that I've started to do it all the time and honestly I always feel bad. I'm a regular dude. It's weird to me to be imposing, but I consciously try to not walk too close to women just in case. I just walk normally. It's not my job to make sure that someone else doesn't find me creepy when I'm just minding my own business. Absolutely something I keep in mind. I try to make life as less stressful as I can for others, so in a situation like this I get very conscious of my actions, which I'm sure ends up making look like a creep too. But damn it, I'm trying. LOL. I'm only in high school but I'm tall, so I may come off as threatening. To make sure I don't scare people, some women walk this path at night. I just put my earbuds on and start to dance as I walk. Instead of wondering why some creep is potentially following them, all they see is some odd kid shuffling down the sidewalk at 7 PM as he walks home from practice. If I walk home from work is basically a straight shot down one road for 2 miles, and I used to get very self-conscious with any women that would walk down the street in front of me. I realized it's because they always would look back at me, and after the second or third time they do that they start acting like I'm following them. They grab their purse and or whatever bags they are carrying and hold everything close to their body like I was going to steal from them, and constantly eye me with that look of creep every time they would simply glance back at me. You just know when someone is eyeing you. Then I realized it's not my problem. They are the one who walked out of the store in front of me as I am walking home. They are the one who is making a biased judgment against me just because I am a guy. I am simply enjoying my walk home from work, and they are the ones who didn't even look to see if I was walking down the sidewalk before they step in front of you as they leave a store. If they are afraid of me they can stop and let me walk by, but I am not going to feel self-conscious because they think a man must be a predator. If you are so scared of me that you have to glance back at me 6 times in 2 busy city blocks, then that isn't my problem. I say all of that as an overweight 5 minutes and 10 seconds white guy with a bit of resting B face, and I can only imagine how crappy it feels to be a tall fit black guy in the same position. Now that you've brought this to my attention, I think I'll speed up and walk past them while asking scared, Potter in a sneer. Yes, it is very common, especially with younger girls these days. You see that they turn and change their speed. Women around 40 and older don't do that so much, although I walk quite fast, so I just walk around them in a bigger distance and try to make as much noise as possible when walking. That usually helps. I live in one of the safest regions on the planet, and this didn't happen so often before the rise of the social media, even though it was much less safe here back then. I think some people are just led to be scared. That's because women who are around 40 have had 40 years to realize that most random men on the street aren't In fact, rapists. Basically every time, if possible, I move to the other side of the street, walk slower, make non-suspicious noises such as yawning or coughing, so it doesn't look like I'm sneaking up on her, and try to avoid being creepy. Always slow down and create bigger gap. Don't think I look threatening, but just to be sure, don't want to make someone feel uneasy. I'm naturally a fast walker, so I tend to pass people, but yes, I intentionally try not to be too close behind someone when walking if it's just the two of us, but that is especially true for women. I know that I personally don't like when someone is walking close behind me and I can't see them and we're alone. All the dang time. I'm a real fast walker. Also, manspreading is totally a thing, but if there's any female equivalent, it's that you all women love to walk in the dead center of a sidewalk. It's so uncomfortable as a man when I'm trying to pass you because I'm walking faster, and you leave me no room to do so. Pretty much anytime I'm alone with a woman I intentionally shuffle my feet or clear my throat or something to make my presence known. Other times I might slow my walking pace to create distance if feasible. There's been times where I completely change routes and just go in a different direction. I always make it a point to make sure my hands are visible and look as non-threatening as possible. Don't want to make people uncomfortable. I do this all the time. If I'm out early in the morning jogging or evenings, I change my path or go across the street, or change my tempo to either slow down or go faster to pass them by. I don't like walking behind women because I'm sure they think I'm being a creep or I'm checking them out. It's sad that's how women think of men, but not all men are creeps and not all men are gentlemen. Sadly. When I end up behind a woman on a hiking trail, secluded wooded area, I don't change my pace. I just announce myself and say, I'm going to speed up and pass you so I don't feel like a creeper behind you. If I encounter any sketchy people further up the trail, I will slow down and watch at a distance to make sure they don't mess with her. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.